What's good, everybody? Welcome back. It's another edition of Whatchu Spinnin. Today is episode 97. God damn.
Yeah, I'm getting close to that triple digit number.
I know. Speaking of, because it's like right around the corner,
Mm.
Matt, do
That's me.
you want to make the pilgrimage to Bend to record at Jake's for episode 100?
Oh,
Uh,
Go check out
yeah,
some shit out there.
yeah, 100, yeah,
cool.
100%. I do get it, 100%. Yeah.
Hey.
Ah,
Sorry.
that'd be cool.
Um,
That'd be cool. We could definitely plan something like spend a day, the weekend. If you guys want to be a weekend here, we got a
yeah.
spot. We got a bunch of things we can do. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it because my birthday weekend in October, we are set to record. However, I'm gonna have to skip that cycle because I'm going to Res Rocks at Red Rocks this year, and it's that
Nice.
weekend. So I will be traveling. But so once we kind of get through that, I think like we'll figure it out as we get closer. But I
Yeah,
was thinking about that this
it'd
morning,
be fun.
so
Heck
that'll be
yeah.
fun. Um, yeah, that'll be sick. Okay. Well then let's continue moving right on in. It is episode 97. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. We are here to talk about some great music, but is
Mhm.
there anything anybody's been listening to that they want to share or I don't know, anything cool?
My playlist has been random last few days. I dove into a couple different Pearl Jam albums. Yield, love that album. It's the one right after No Code. And then like a trip hop album by I think he's a DJ, but his uncle. It's called Psych Fiction or Science Fiction, back from late '99.
Hmm,
Really unique album. Kind of reminds me of Aphex Twins, and
nice.
it's got some hip hop in it, but it's mostly instrumental. And I don't know, it's kind of unique.
Okay. I
Hmm.
like the sound of that.
Yeah. And then
Hell
some
yeah.
podcasts. Really, I've been diving into Sean Ryan. He's an ex Navy SEAL that does. He hosts a podcast and interviews random people, whether it's a scientist or political people or presidents, things like that. And he interviewed a few different I guess professors of religion or people that deal with exorcisms and shit like that. And listening to that shit and listening to how real that is, it was fucking tripping me out. And you like watch movies and you see all these horror movies and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, does
Yeah.
that shit really happen? And I guess apparently some of it does. I don't think these people are lying about what they do. They're went to school for it and are religious scholars and are ordained. And it's fucking weird to hear what kind of shit's out there and how people deal with themselves and mental illness and things like that. And it's a good podcast. Keeps it real. It's not a bunch of bullshit. It's these guys are military people and
Oh
keep it
yeah.
straight stuff. So that's
Hell
about
yeah.
it.
I like that. I like the sound. I jotted that down. I'll have to throw that in the rotation. Um, that sounds crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Jake, any cool stuff you're listening to, pal?
Yeah, I speaking of like other podcasts, I'm trying to find it, but there was like this guy that was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't really listen to Joe Rogan a whole lot, but this one kind of caught my ear because it was this kind of similar thing. It was like true story, like an undercover cop that like was in the States and that he like did some things with like motorcycle gangs and like cartel stuff. I'm trying to like look into like the episode, see if I could find it. Um, but I heard that like a couple weeks ago, and I never brought it up because I don't know, I just never thought about it. But thinking about it now, like I'm trying to find his name. It was really cool. It was really interesting. But yeah, some like the storytelling, I didn't think my attention span was that good for podcasts, but for that one particularly, like I was just like zoned in, tuned in, and every like experience that they have is like very real and like it's like kind of weird to think about that shit like this actually happens in real life. So I'll definitely look into that, Matt. I got the name pulled up here. Um, for music that I've been listening to, I did listen to Joey Badass's new album. What was it called?
I can't remember, but I personally liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it too. It was here I got it pulled up here. Lonely at the Top. Just came out like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Pretty good. Pretty good features on there.
Mhm.
Was also listening to the new Blood Orange album. I heard like two or three songs off of it. I haven't heard the full thing, but it was pretty good. And then I this one went under my radar. Didn't even know that it had happened. But Earl Sweatshirt came out with a new album, Live, Laugh, Love. Hilarious fucking album title. But it was
Right.
actually good. It was actually good. So yeah, a lot of new music still coming out. I think it's cool to still be kind of getting into, newer artists, old artists bringing up new things. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I listened to some of that Blood Orange album yesterday too. I saw that pop up on my Spotify. Is definitely some cool indie stuff. So yeah.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I'll have to check out that Blood Orange album. I did, like I said, I did appreciate that Joey Badass album. Did not know that was coming out. So that was pretty cool. I went down like a not I didn't like listen to a shit ton of folk punk for like a week, but I did go back and listen to like the Front Bottoms album that we covered. I went and did gave that a full listen to for the first time since we covered it. So what, like fucking almost 3, 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And then I made because you know how sometimes you listen to a playlist, even if like if you put a bunch of shit in a playlist, like you're still going to only hear like 20% of what's actually in it just because of how shuffle work. Like if you ever
Yeah,
have you noticed that?
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, so I didn't have a playlist anymore that was just like a good blend of my music taste. I hadn't done one in like 2 years. And so I've been going back through my old playlists and found one that I made that was just the front bottoms. And so I was like, oh, let me throw this on for old time's sake. Dude, you want to talk about teleporting back almost 10 years to when I first was listening to that band? I was like, oh my God, dude, I was driving the Honda Civic with no front bumper, like, or skating to work, like, just do it, just yeah, being a degenerate, singing, drinking full bottles of wine and just carrying them around, like just unreal shit. But yeah, front bottoms, that was a fun little rabbit hole to dive down. But yeah, other than that, just this stuff. Really, it's been fun. And yeah, but I think it's about time we slide on into the content for today. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
Done.
do it. Alrighty. Well, that is the little intro piece that we do here. What you spinning? We'll see you in about 2 seconds for today's content. It's what you spinning, episode 97. Peace. What's up, everybody? Gather round. Come on in. It's time to start talking about some music. Uh, it's what you spin in episode 97. We decided beforehand who's going first, second, and third. I pulled the straw. I don't know if it's short or long, but I'm going first. And today we're talking about an iconic recording. It's in the National Lib. I can never remember that off the top of my head, but y'all know what I'm talking
The
about.
Library of Congress
Yeah,
recording
yeah, National
shindig.
Register, like
Yeah.
the Library of Congress recording extravaganza.
Yeah.
But it's Grateful Dead live at Cornell. It's May 8th, 1977. Commonly referred to as Cornell 77. Obviously recorded back then. I don't think it was like officially released until 2015, but because of taping culture, it is considered like that's like a huge argument for decades has been when was the Grateful Dead's peak. The most commonly thrown around one like album or era is really this. So we do collect records, and this is one that's particularly funny to me because it's clearly a bootleg. Um, and
Mm,
it's
a little bit.
Grateful Dead, Dead and Cornell Volume 2. And it's only a segment of the show. The track list on the back is incorrect. It's not actually what's
Oh,
pressed.
okay.
Like it says Dancing in the Streets is on here. It's not. Like just stuff like I think Deal is on here, but it's not on the track list. Like just wonky stuff like that. And of course, it's on like two colored discs. So I love a good wonky pressing of a record. And
Shout out bootlegs.
yeah, yeah, Callie had this at Moonrock, and I looked at it, and I was like starting to look at it on Discogs and saw that it wasn't properly listed, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. As
Mm.
long as I was like, it's got Scarlet Fire on it. I was like, I'll take it. Um, so yeah, there's another. Well, I have another fun little pressing to show you guys later too, but that's when we talk about Jake's. But anyway, I'll nerd out about it some more here in a bit. But second time we've covered the Dead on here, a little. Europe 72 is like everybody's starting point. That's how they recommend you
Mm.
do it. And then this is the next stepping stone. So, what do you guys think?
I think that's the way to do it because I really like this album and this is my favorite album of theirs. I'm sure they have other great stuff. I'm sure that if I went a little deeper and gave it more time to everything, I'd probably enjoy all of it. But this one was good, man. Like earlier in the week, like we were cooking and we were doing like butter chicken with naan, and it was like it's a pretty long process. So we're like, making the bread, letting it rise, starting on the food, starting on the chicken, everything, whatever. Took a while. This album is like almost 3 hours long, man. It's 2 hours, 40 minutes. So like this whole process, we're like still we put the album on and we're just starting to do everything. We're eating now at this point and we're like, is the album almost done? Like, oh no, we're like on the third disc still. Like there's so much more left.
Mm.
Uh so it was like cool, okay, like I'm with it. And like as we were doing everything, like a couple songs were like, "Ooh, that's good," or like, "Ooh, that solo was sick." "Ooh, that was pretty cool." So like a lot of songs I ended up actually liking and like saving on my playlist. So yeah, shout out this album. It's really good. I think it's really interesting that everything it's all just like jammy. Like it's just like, they just playing. You could tell some of it is free, thought up in the moment. Some of it it's planned. But it seems like for the most part, it's all kind of just like, hey, I'm gonna do a drum bass and I'm gonna do a drum line. I'm gonna play the same notes. You go, and then after you go, I go, and then they just rotate, kind of all doing their own thing. So, yeah, really good album. I really liked it. So, thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, this is a fun comparison too. Like what you said earlier, Dorian, with Europe 72. Um, both great albums, completely different. I like seeing some of the similar tracks on this album too, and then having a lot of different tracks that were a lot longer on this album. That's what I love about the Grateful Dead. The way they jam and improvise and do it for so long is impressive. I think Jerry Garcia is a very underrated guitar player. I think a lot of people forget about how great he was at just, creating a soundscape of just jam music and being able to do it for so long. Like to do that every night, day in and day out, and know where you're at on a guitar, especially, is really hard. And to make it sound good, not like repetitive, they do such a good job. These guys are one of the best, jam bands of all time. And there was a lot of cool songs that I'd never heard. Loser, that song's a really epic song, kind of jammy
Dude,
and spans
dude,
the genres of all the Grateful Dead ins and outs there. El Paso was kind of cool. And I remember you recommending Supplication months ago. You're like, check out the song and, the time signatures and the changes. And like, yeah, another great standout track. But I love this album. I still prefer Europe 72, but I feel like they're, as musicians, this album has like, they're very like tight and like you can just hear it right there. Like everything's just flowing and the music sounds good and they're on point with all their, instruments and stuff like this. But great album. Great album.
hell yeah, that's awesome. No, I'm glad that uh, you guys love it, and that is a very common thing that people are like, yeah, Europe 72, it's great because of what it is. Like they ended up going back. Just a little side note about that. I found this out after we had covered it. They went back and released every show from Europe 72. Like that's how fucking good that tour was. That's like their magnum opus. So you have like two shows that we've covered now, or like,
Mhm.
albums of theirs that are just absolutely monumental. Like the argument still goes on within like the Grateful Dead fandom of like which is better, and it's just a conversation that'll never stop because there's no true winner, right?
All right.
But yeah, this is, 1977. The Spring 77 tour is regarded as like like I said, one of their peaks. In my opinion, it's like the start of 6 years of really strong Grateful Dead shows. and yeah, it's wild. A lot of people are like, Cornell isn't even the best show from May of '77. Like, it's like it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
crazy.
right.
It's crazy. And there's some argument there, but anyway, yeah, like you said, Matt, Jerry Garcia is like everyone knows him, right, because of like the hand thing, and the Grateful Dead is like bigger than they could
Mhm.
ever dream of being back then. But yeah, the dude just shreds. His mind with a guitar was so unique, and just
Mhm.
you just create these crazy soundscapes. He's using envelope filters and just has like such an incredibly unique sound all by himself.
He does.
He Yeah, he was a bluegrass banjo player before he ever picked up a guitar, and so you get a lot of weird, cool like country bends and shit, and
Mhm.
yeah, he's wild. And then you've got Phil Lesh and the rhythm section just playing like their hair's on fire, dude. Like
Yeah.
some of the bass stuff that Phil Lesh is doing, like Supplication, that song alone is like he's just like
Mhm.
I swear to God, he hits every fucking note on that bass in this, at least in this one performance. It's nuts. Um, and yeah, I think, there's some songs that I'm like, that were on Europe 72 and this, that I still prefer the Europe 72 version, but it is
Mhm.
cool to hear like a super jammed out Morning Dew, or like
Mhm.
Jack Straw with like a completely different backbeat to it.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the beauty of, getting into this group, is that you can listen to a show from 1983 that has almost an identical set list and it sounds completely different.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this is truly it's a it's one of those that it's like, yeah, once you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, that's why this gets talked about so much, is because it's unreal.
Yeah. Definitely like heard a lot of songs that had like a bluesy, funky sound to it. Like Dancing in the Street. That was so funky, so bluesy. Same thing with Estimated Profit. Like when I heard that song, like I
Mhm.
don't remember what we were doing, if we were eating, if we were in the middle of cooking, but like I heard the first like 10 seconds. I was like, yep, that's it. I like that song. I like this song.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all over the place. It's got everything, little touches of everything. I was looking online for like on Discogs what it looked like. I guess it's like a 5 disc LP.
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Wow.
How do you have 5 discs? And there's two sides to
Long
that.
ass songs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
there's like songs on here that are like 16 minutes, like 12 minutes. Some songs that are 3 minutes. So yeah, it's definitely like got a mix of everything. 20 songs being 2 hours, 41 minutes is just nuts, is insane. But I think it's if we're talking about live albums, this is one of those. Like, and Grateful Dead is just known for having that, like having live albums that are just, jam-packed, all the sets are good. Every song is kind of its own thing, different styles. So, yeah, really cool that they kind of do that and constantly do that. I mean, that's what they're known for, is just being a jam band.
Yeah, so many good standout tracks. I'm listening to "They Love Each Other" right now in my ear, and that's such a good like long jammy song and kind of catchy all around. And then "Fire on the Mountain." I was telling you guys earlier in the week that chorus just sticks in your head, and you start
Oh
repeating it.
yeah.
I'm finding love with all these different songs that I've never heard by the Grateful Dead, and being able to dive into their catalog a little bit more has been a lot of fun. So, and I think
Yeah.
being live albums, it's fun to hear how well they were just, doing their craft on stage. We're not listening to studio albums with the Dead, we're listening to live albums, and that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of unique. That's like one of the things that is so unique about listening to the Grateful Dead, right? Is that you could go listen to studio cuts, like
Mhm.
that behind me, Shakedown Street. It's the studio album that Fire on the Mountain was on, but it's like, yeah, there's like maybe a handful of songs out of their catalog that you would rather listen to a studio version of,
Mhm.
but you could also be like, oh, I love this show because it has my favorite songs in it or whatever. But like one of the other fun things to do that I do here and there with trying to find a Dead show to listen to is I'll be like, oh, let me find something like local, because they played Mac Court back in the day, or
Mhm.
like their one of their other biggest live shows that I almost brought up is Veneta 72, which happened right before the Europe tour. Um, and so you can like be a little homebody about it, or you can be like, you know what? What's the difference between a West Coast show and a East Coast? And you just have this litany of stuff to pick from, and
Mhm.
yeah, It's truly something getting into them. Fun fact about the dancing in the street, not off of here, but that song in general. I went and saw Truffle Jam for the first time and was barely getting into the Grateful Dead. Had no idea that Dancing in the Streets was a song that has been covered by a bajillion people. I thought it was just Mick Jagger and David Bowie. And I'm at this Truffle Jam show at Slice, and they start playing Dancing in the Streets, and I start laughing my ass off because of that music video. And
Mhm.
everybody's like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "Oh, this song's great." I was like, "The Mick Jagger, David Bowie." They're like, "Yeah, but it's also like the Dead played it." I was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, all right." But like completely because I'm just like, "Aha!" Like like dying at a comedy show type of laughing, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome." Um, so yeah, but I love that. And yeah, you mentioned it, Fire on the Mountain, insane. One of my favorite songs. I think it was number two most played for me last year. I'd be surprised if it's not up in my top five again. That Scarlet Begonias into Fire on the Mountain is one of my favorite jams that they've ever done or that I've ever heard a jam band do. One time after a jam sesh, if you can catch my drift, I was in the
Mm.
kitchen at about midnight and I was listening to that jam and I was like, oh yeah, this is like one of the top. I was like, this is one of the greatest bands that ever fucking exist, man. I was just like, just like with the fridge door open, just completely getting out of my head. It was fucking sick. So yeah, I love that. And then, Lazy Lightning into Supplication. There's all of these songs that just blend into each other that are just so cool. And so yeah, like the again, Saint Stephen, not fade away, Saint Stephen too, like getting back into it. Like I love song sandwiches. This is I think if anyone is curious about getting into the Grateful Dead and like going back and listening to these shows, start here. I would go ahead and listen to this because it's got a good representation of everything. It's got like the more Americana country-esque hits, but then it's also got the
Mm.
super spacey jams and all of that. So yeah, I think this is a great starting point. It's certainly when I got into this album was when I downloaded the archive app and started getting into tapes. So highly recommend. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to listen to this album more and more because
Hmm.
I still listen to a couple of songs here and there from the Europe album. Like obviously the what song is that? The fucking it's so funky every time that it comes on. Like China Cat Sunflower, like
Yes, best song
Yeah.
ever.
that song always
Dude,
comes on at some point.
yes.
Truckin', another funny one. So like definitely like every now and then Grateful Dead will come up on my listening, but definitely gotta listen to this album more because I think it's still jam packed, and I think I was still like so busy caught up in cooking and doing stuff that I maybe missed a couple songs that I should have paid more attention. And throughout the week too, because it was kind of hard. Like it's almost 3 hours long. It's kind of hard to fit an album like this in.
Yeah.
But even then, like for what you can fit in, for what you can listen to, it's great. It's
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. I'm definitely
Hell
gonna have to
yeah.
this one more. Um, really stoked. I'm really glad that you were able to bring it up more, kind of getting more into the Grateful Dead. I think it's like a rite of passage. I feel like you gotta listen to this album, gotta listen to Europe. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hell yeah. I was holding off on sending it until I had an opportunity to explain. But I'm gonna send you guys a song after this that's from I think 1980, like a live performance from 1980, which is after Donna and Keith Godshow, which were the lady singer and the keyboardist. They left the band and they got a guy named Brent Midland, and he does like more organ synthy sounds with his keyboard, and he has like a really gruff backup vocal voice. 80s Dead is fucking unreal. So I don't know if I was almost gonna bring up an 83 show, but like I said, you gotta as you just said, Jake, it's a rite of passage. I can't break the rules. I don't make them, I just enforce them. But I was listening to this album and then went and listened to this song from an 80s show, and I was like, oh my God, I have to send this to these guys because the different it's almost like listening to two different bands. It's fucking crazy. Um, but I think it's about time we get into top threes. I will accept if you have a two-song jam as one song. I personally don't. I refrain from doing so. But I will go first as we do around here. Two honorable mentions because hard to pick and also lots of stuff. Number one honorable mention was Dancing in the Street. Love that song. Already told y'all a funny little tale about it. Number two for me was The Morning Dew off of this one. Incredible. Great toward the end. They could have ended the show with that. The fact they came back out and did one more Saturday night is crazy. And the number three track for me was Supplication. Just that beginning bass riff is so fun with the drums really getting out there. Number two track for me, Loser. Last fair deal in the country. Every time I hear that driving home, I'm just like scream singing it. Just great. And then number one for me, man, Fire on the Mountain. That again, that bass line is just they are so locked in on that song. It's truly a testament to the talent of the band. There's a side note about that song, real quick. There's a video on YouTube. Somebody tabbed out the first solo that Garcia has on that song, and there's a bend, like a super hard bend in that solo, and someone said that bend on that string was the peak of the Grateful Dead. Like, there's like that was
Right.
legitimately the peak of the Grateful Dead. They were never better than that. And uh I saw that comment on YouTube way early on into my journey of getting into this band, and I always thought that was fucking hilarious because it's almost true. But yeah, those are my top three.
Yeah. Good picks, man. It was tricky for me on the top threes, but I narrowed it down one way or another. Honorable mention for me was Supplication, just because that's such a unique song, and instrumentation wise, you're just like, wow, these guys are really talented musicians, and they're just it's ever changing in that song. So that's my honorable mention. Number three was Loser, another fun jammy song. Love that track. Number two, El Paso, kind of not like a country feel, but more like a western, out in the
Hell
desert,
yeah.
wandering with the dead. And then my favorite track, like you said, Dorian, Fire on the Mountain. It's got the catchiness, and it's a great track. Glad that I heard that song. So
Yeah. I love every time after they in Fire on the Mountain when they do those long jams, every time they come back to that that beat, it's just like that everything was wild and then it just all lines right up on that downbeat. And it's like I get chills just thinking about it, dude. I'm like, how the fuck, man? It's so crazy to me. But anyway,
yes.
Jake, what are your top three?
Yeah, honorable mention for me, also El Paso. Matt summed it up perfectly. It has this like Western vibe to it throughout the whole track. It's perfect. Number three, They Love Each Other. Number two, Fire on the Mountain. That one I think is on all of our lists. And then my favorite track, Estimated Profit. Really caught myself coming back to that
Nice.
one. Really good track.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I love the love for El Paso. It's a pretty polarizing song within Grateful Dead fans. So I almost said, "Hey, don't even worry about listening to this song." Like, but I'm glad that y'all did.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that y'all stuck with it on me, or stuck with me on this album. Like I said, I wanted to bring it up when we knew we had a long break. And then I couldn't get myself to not bring it up. I'm already pot committed to it. So, thank you for that. But yeah, man, that was Grateful Dead's Cornell 77 from 1977, May 8th to be exact. That was my pick for this week. We'll be right back to let me see here, talk about Matt's. It's What You Spin in episode 97. Peace. All right, it's What You Spin in episode 97. We just talked about an absolute heater of a Grateful Dead show. Um, Obviously love any time that we get to chat about that. And yeah, so without further ado, it's time to go into the future a little bit from where we just were, into 2016 with a great, great pick. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, fuck yeah, Matt. I was like, what I love when we haven't covered an artist before and we don't go with their biggest album. Like we go with like almost not a deep cut per se, but it's like, oh shit, wouldn't have thought to bring that up first. But what
Mhm.
is that album, Matt? What did you bring up, dude?
We went back to 2016, and this is unfortunately the last album from this amazing artist that was, pretty legendary and influenced a lot of people. But David Bowie's album Blackstar, released on his 69th birthday, and I think it was 2 days after that he passed away. So kind of a sad story. I'm glad it was released. I think for him, it's like I told you guys when I introduced the album last week or the last time we were together, it's one of his more accessible albums. And I think for us, based on the jazz influence of this album and all the musicianship that's behind these songs, it's very, clever and it's very introspective and it's, eye opening to what he's probably going through as an artist. And, he's been through it all, went through his glam era. He's been through the 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And a lot of people don't know he was kind of a folk artist when he came out in the late 60s and kind of nerdy. Some of his early albums are very, very not David Bowie albums. And so to see his transition, into Ziggy Stardust and, his 80s transformation, being an actor, and like he was just a very talented musician and person in general. And the lyrics on this album, I think, like I said a second ago, are very introspective and it's haunting. It's dark. It's kind of sad at the end, especially the last track. I can't give everything away. It was very like, wow, he's facing what he knows is going to happen, and he's okay with it. And I think to put that out and record it and be able to do that and release it before you die is really amazing. And again, the musicians on this album are great. Very jazzy and kind of different timing signatures and things like that. So I thought it was a great album. I used to have it on vinyl. I don't anymore, but I'll probably pick it up at some point if I see it again. But what'd you guys think of it?
Yeah, this was nuts. I I listened to this like when it came out, and I honestly didn't remember a lot of it. And so this was kind of like listening to it for the first time for me, which was truly, you hardly ever get that, right? Oh, if I could go back and hear this for the first time, uh, 2016 was a crazy time. So kind of got lost in the shuffle there. But man, it's crazy. I texted you guys and I was like, yeah, man, listening to this is like haunting at times. It's like it really makes you think about a lot of things, whether it's like in your own personal life. I thought a lot about David Bowie in listening to this. Um, and you kind of in music, right? There's a lot of these albums that come out and then someone dies. And
Mhm.
for example, like Mac Miller, Swimming comes out and then he dies. People are like, was that truly like, they call it a swan song, right? But it's like, oh, was it truly what they consider to be their swan song? And I don't think that's ever truly or hardly ever the case. And I think it is with David Bowie. Like, I think like, he kind of knew that he had cancer and all of this stuff, especially throughout the making of this album. And so I think that everything that's in here is done with a lot of intent. And that's why, like, opening with Blackstar and all this, like, it starts off so weird, almost Kid A, kind of
Yeah.
influence there at the beginning. And yeah, so I think he got to truly go out on a note that he wanted to. And I think, I don't know, life's fucking crazy sometimes, man. Like with how people pass away,
Mhm.
there's a lot of weird stuff that happens with that. So I think he put out his swan song and then he's like, yeah, it's my time to go. Like, 2 days later, he's like, I did what I wanted. And then,
Yeah.
he ends up going and passing away. I think Ozzy Osbourne basically did the same thing recently. He had his big ass farewell concert and then less than a month later, he passes away.
Mhm.
So I think Bowie is one of those rare examples where he did get to, like I said, go out on his own note and have a swan song, and that removed damn good music. Matt, you're exactly correct. The jazz in this is unreal. The musicianship, and he did the same thing Andre 3000 did, which he didn't go out and get the biggest names like we all know he could. He got people that I had never personally heard of, and
No. Mm-mm.
they crushed. I can't remember which song it is on here off the top of my head, but there's a song Bowie did all by himself, and that song rips too. So very pleased. I was very happy to go back and listen to this, and I too will keep my pretty little eyes peeled for it in the record store. So thank you for bringing this up, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this I hadn't heard a full Bowie project until this one, and I hadn't heard anything off of this one until we brought this up. David Bowie is one of those like iconic names. Everyone has heard a song one way or another. It's been brought up. They've heard it throughout their life. But I hadn't heard of this one, this album. And yeah, it feels very intentional. Like that is a textbook David Bowie thing to do. Like keep everything under wraps, be very low key about what was going on through his life, and then just out of nowhere, boom, drops this album, and then 2 days later, he's gone. And that was very intentional throughout the lyrics. Also, it's very like he's kind of having like seeing it in like a third party experience, kind of he's speaking in some points, and he's very personal. Like he's, in songs like Lazarus, like he's starting off saying like, "Hey, look, like I'm already dead. Like I'm already in heaven." Like he and Blackstar also, he's saying that too. And I can't give everything away. He has also these like, introspective things that he's saying. So it's very intentional what he was doing. And I think that's exactly what he wanted to do. Because no other person would really do something like this, like plan out an album, keep it under wraps, and then, introduce it in the way that it was. And, you know, kind of knew that it was coming up to that point in time as time was ticking. So it's very introspective in that sense because it's you literally hear it and you see it in real time, like someone battling with their own, demons, with their own things that they're going through. I was looking at the music videos for Lazarus and for Black Star. Um, Also, like a lot of theories out there that people throw out, like, oh, this represents this, and when he was laying on the bed and tied up, it meant this and that and that. And it's like a lot of this is kind of left up to mystery because, we don't really know, because I mean, sure, it's in the lyrics, but how did he feel about it? What did he think about it? We kind of want to never really know. So the mystery behind this is really intriguing. The fact that an artist can, as big as Bowie, bigger than life, can do something like this and thought about doing something like this, just kind of really says a lot, not only to him as a person, but as a musician. Like it's insane. So I wish I would have heard this when it came out. I think it definitely would have tied me into more of what was going on. But even reading about it, like it's crazy. It's crazy reading about it and hearing it real time. Like it kind of makes me go back in time and be like, oh, this was actually happening. This
Mhm.
was all leading up to all this, all the singles, all everything kind of out of nowhere, it all just unraveling itself. So, but besides all that apart, like the music, it's phenomenal. Like the music is really good, very jazzy. Some songs are also kind of like bluesy. Very like a lot of live artists also, like live musicians. I was reading some of the like credits on here. Some people, yeah, Dorian said, like you don't even know who these people are. Like a lot of like New York musicians that were doing jazz and like local studios and stuff like that. Like that's who brought up to help this on the album. So yeah, I think it's really a great listen. I hadn't heard a full Bowie project, so I think this was a good listen, and I want to go back to listen to more because it's definitely like as a person, as a musician, that says a lot. And I think it's a test of his time of what he did, and he really cared about his craft. So, yeah, solid listen all throughout.
Rock on. Yeah. It's David Bowie is one of those guys that, he's kind of like The Rock, where he just transcended being a musician or
Mm.
being an actor. He's one of those people that's like, you can really only label them as a true celebrity, which is great. I mean, kudos to him. But then you do go back and listen to, projects like Blackstar,
Mm.
that, I mean, it's the last album he put out, right? But I don't think any of these songs could be considered close to his biggest songs, when you've got
No.
like Space Odyssey,
Yeah. Yeah.
or Oddity, Modern Love, like all of these songs,
Mm.
and you're like, oh damn, like he actually was churning out hits. He wasn't just the weird kinky guy from Labyrinth, he was actually like
Right.
putting out some killer music legitimately up until the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's another one of those artists that kind of also was super hard to pigeonhole what he was by the end of it, what type of music he was putting out. This is jazz in one sense, and then it's like almost like indie ambient type of weird stuff going on. Like there's crazy sax and then super hard hitting beats. You look up the backstory to this album. He's listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar and Death Grips, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
hang out with Dave. I'm like, I'm pissed I can't hang out with him and talk about Kendrick Lamar and Death Grips because like
Right.
that's awesome. I'm so obsessed with that and like that one fact I kept
Mhm.
thinking I was like, oh, because you hear someone tells you that you go listen to this album, you're like, oh yeah, absolutely he was like 100%. The weird Blackstar stuff is very much like Damn, that album by Kendrick Lamar. There's some like aggressive sounding stuff that's very much like anything that Death Grips put out. And
Yep.
yeah, so I just I love that. That's another really interesting thing to me is hearing what genres people are into or what people were listening to when they were recording a project. Like I watched an interview with Randy Blythe from Lamb of God,
Mhm.
not a metalhead at all. Like he's super into punk music. And so to listen to an album like this where it is kind of all over the place genre wise, and then it's like, yeah, no, I was just probably getting stoned and listening to Death Grips and Kendrick Lamar all the time. I'm like, hey, you know what? All the power to you. That actually sounds like a hell of a time. And so I just love that type of shit. So that was also very funny to me to hear. I was like, hell yeah, man, me too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he said like D'Angelo too. Like D'Angelo was also some like he was getting some inspiration from, and uh particularly I think he referenced To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick,
Yep.
like listening to that album.
Mhm.
So like yeah, dude, he was with it. Like he knew what to listen to, what was kind of good to get him in the mood. And I feel like you kind of hear that throughout. Like I forget I think it's on Sue, like you hear like a little like kind of fast, super quick, like kind of like Death Grips.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
that he does mix a little bit of everything, a little bit of all the genres that I was listening to at the time.
Yeah, I think he was able to, create this, swan song, for his fans, and he was able to collaborate with his longtime co-producer Tony Visconti from, back to the Heroes days in the late '70s, and even the musicians in the studio said that they didn't even think anything was wrong with him. He looked healthy and he looked normal. So for David Bowie to go in and do his best and go out like this is a pretty cool thing to do. I don't think I can think of a musician that has done that before and been able to do that so well. And for him to do that, like Dorian was saying earlier, you can't pigeonhole his music. His style is so unique. Every album he does is different. There's not an album that sounds the same, going from his whole discography. So David Bowie, R.I.P. Glad you guys like this album. Blackstar is probably one of my favorite albums, but definitely dive into his discography. There's a lot of
Yeah.
good gems out there. Low from the '70s and Heroes, both Brian Eno inspired and helps produce those two. So definitely good to check those out as well.
Hell yeah. We love a Brian Eno cosign around here.
Right?
Hell yeah, man. No, I agree. I think this is like I said, you picked a perfect album of his in a because what he's got like almost 30 albums or something
This is
great.
20.
Like
This is 26. Yeah.
yeah, so
Wild.
he's got enough albums for the entire alphabet. So you got a lot of room to work
Mm.
with. But I think this was a perfect kind of dive in to where we can kind of dive in about the artist as well.
Nice.
And you kind of do hear stuff on here that you're like, yeah, this does remind me of stuff from the Low era or from when he was doing Fame. That song. Like there's like some aspects kind of culminating, but it is also something that was kind of unique even for him. So, and that's what kind of drew me back to it. And you know what? Sad. I'm not going to be quote unquote forced to listen to this for the next 2 weeks. I think I'm going to give it a little extra love the next couple of days because I was a big fan of this. So thanks for bringing that up.
Heck yeah.
Rock on, shall we?
Let's dive into those top threes.
Hit me,
Uh,
baby.
for me, there's not a whole lot of tracks on here, so it was a little difficult to find them all. But honorable mention for me was Blackstar. I think the way that it starts the album off, like you said, Dorian. I keep quoting Dorian here. To quote Dorian, it's very like Kid A and almost has that Radiohead feel to it. And it's such a long song and it goes so many different directions. So a great way to start out the album. Uh, Number three for me was Girl Loves Me. Pretty unique song. We didn't really talk about that one too much. I like that track. Number two, Dollar Days. Another great track. And then my favorite one was I Can't Give Everything Away. it's a sad song, but at the same time, it's almost inspirational in the way he was able to kind of pen out his thoughts for, how he's leaving this world. So R.I.P. David Bowie. Great album.
I agree. Honorable mention for me is Sue or In a Season of Crime. Just really liked how that song just immediately is like dum, dum, dum. It's like spy music. It's like Mission Impossible type stuff. Um, number three for me is Blackstar. I'll quote Matt quoting me. We'll do like the Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott type thing right there. And then number two for me was "'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore." Uh, Man, She Punched Me Like a Dude is a hell of an opening line to a song. And I guess that was a re-recording from like his last album that he did. I haven't gotten a chance to go back and listen to it, but there's like some deep rooted meaning behind that song that I'll have to go back and read. I didn't read enough of it to be able to quote it off the top of my head. And the number one for me was Girl Loves Me. Really liked that one. So.
Nice.
Nice. Honorable mention for me, "'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore." That's my honorable mention. Number three, I'm going Lazarus. I think the music video is pretty cool. Definitely check that out. Number two, Dollar Days. Definitely that's where you hear the jazziness for me. And my favorite track was I Can't Give Everything Away. I think wraps up the album beautifully. I think his message is said perfectly in that one. So, yeah, but fantastic album.
Agreed. Fantastic album. Rest in peace, David Bowie. You went out on a note that cannot be topped. I think anybody in a I think any musician would love to have that opportunity to really put out their final swan song.
Mhm.
As I said, refer to my opening monologue. But yeah, we will be right back. That was Matt's pick for this wonderful episode 97 of What You Spinnin'. We'll be right back to wrap it up and talk about Jake's, which again, I've been loving all three of these albums the past 2 weeks. Just as stoked to talk about Jake's as I was the past two. So yeah, it's What You Spinnin' episode 97. Stick around. Hell yeah. All right. Well, what's up, y'all? It's time to put a big fat bow on this baby and send it to the goddamn moon. We've had a lot of fun here talking about some great albums. This one, I was kind of just saying, this is real fun. I'm glad that we're ending on one like this. This is I own a copy of this. I'll kind of show that off here in a second after
Ooh,
Jake gives us a
nice.
beautiful intro. We're going back from where we were just in 2016. We're going back 40 years to the year 1976 with what you got, Jake?
Yeah. I love that you have a copy of this too, Dorian. That's fucking sick. 76 Silk Degrees by Boz Scaggs. I was looking more into this. I think this is the original pressing because it came out in 76 also, and it is beat the fuck up.
Yeah, look at that ring.
Um, yeah, it's got a crazy like whole scratches and it's all beat up. The disc is fine. It plays beautifully. But like in here also, oh shit, I think I just ripped it even more. But it's like coming out the bottom and
Oh
like
yeah.
the sides are all fucked up. But yeah, it's a gem. Boz Scaggs, I don't remember. This is like his fifth or sixth album, I want to say, but this is probably one of his bigger ones.
I think it's his
Uh,
seventh.
oh, okay, seventh. Yeah, it's up there. He's still making music. I saw he like just came out with a new album this year or something, uh, which is pretty sick.
What a
But
psycho.
to be honest with you guys, I do not remember when I got this album, but I've had it for years because when I bought it, I think I saw it. I was early on to collecting records and I was like, I need to get something old school. And I saw this and it was like, I don't know, 25 cents. Like it was super cheap. So I bought it and I didn't even know I was buying a gem. So I had to bring it up. There's a couple songs on here I have all through a lot of playlists that I have. because I think it's awesome. It's silky, it's jazzy, it's funky. There's a lot of synths, a lot of moogs happening. I can go on and on about this, but what do you guys think about it?
Yeah, fucking Boz Scaggs, dude. I had no idea that this was his seventh album. This is the only one I've ever heard of his. I also didn't know that he was formerly of the Steve Miller Band when it was in its early life.
Ooh.
So that's hilarious. I'll show off my copy that I have because this is just fun. You know, I was talking when I showed off my Grateful Dead one that I like quirky releases. And this is when I saw it, House of Records for like $4 or $5. But it's the same album, Silk Degrees, but it's a Columbia Records demonstration not for sale copy. It
Oh
has the
shit.
it has the big sticker on the front with suggested cuts, like don't like cut this song, cut this song. Um, they didn't. No one marked it because they said, "Hey, it's good as is, pal. Don't cut shit." It's got like a cool foil stamp that says "demonstration not for sale."
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, but yeah, man. I
Damn, you
mean,
just fucking one up me, dude. That thing's sick.
The fact that you
uh,
guys both have a copy is awesome. So
yeah,
yeah,
I love. It's like that's just hilarious, you know. That the fact that we both kind of had the same thing. I mean, oh, one in Rome. It's what, four
and
bucks, 25 cents?
different unique copies of that. You got the not for sale one. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake's got the OG pressing. I love that. Hell
dude,
yeah, dude.
just crazy. Um, Yeah, but yeah, like all that aside, it's insanely good music. Like you know, you got Lido Shuffle and Lowdown, like probably Boz's two biggest songs, and you know, you hear them on the radio all the time, but they're actually good. Like they're like it's like yeah, they're huge on the radio for a reason. Is because they make you want to get up and shake your butt, but it's also like from a musician standpoint, like Bob Scaggs was the fucking man and still is apparently. Had no idea he was still putting tunes out. 50 years after you make it big is crazy to still be putting stuff out. So shout out to him. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. Overall, I would say it's like cocktail music because again, it's like got the jazzy stuff. It's got the synth. There's like some weird, almost Jimmy Buffett sounding esque stuff on here too. But yeah, obviously I'm a big fan. I've got a copy myself. I think that was like one of the biggest reactions I've gotten or that I gave to an album being announced on the pod lately. I was like, "Oh!" It was like I saw a ghost. It was like it's like I was playing a horror video game and a monster jumped out at me. Like I was like, "Ah!" It was like I got
Yeah.
scared. So, yeah, definitely loved getting to listen to this for the past 2 weeks. So, yeah, thank you for bringing it up, man.
Yeah, another fun artist that I've never listened to besides a few songs that I've heard before, like Lowdown. Boz Scaggs is like that quintessential 70s, and it's not like the yacht rock era. It's not even rock and roll. It's a unique musician in general, kind of like Bowie. You know, you can't really pigeonhole him. He's creating soft ballads and kind of the rocky jingles and the bluesy stuff. But Lowdown's an iconic song. Everybody knows that song. And if you don't like that song, I don't think you like music because it's catchy and it's like, I don't know, it makes you feel good when you hear that track. But there's a lot of songs I'd never heard that were on this album. One of the standouts for me was "We're Not Alone." The way that song starts off, his voice is kind of unique, a little different, but man, that's an epic ballad and kind of has you swaying a little bit back and forth. One of my favorite songs. And I don't know, he capulates that 70s sound to a T. There's a lot of good tracks on here, and it's just it's a fun record in general. And I think it's for that era of music, it's perfect and probably one of the better albums to come out in the late 70s. So I'm glad we got to listen to it front to back and find a few different songs that I liked. "It's Over." That's another fun song.
Oh,
It's
yes.
oh 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 oh, or just like catchy jingles like that. It's great. Talking about breaking up with somebody, things like that. Like get out of here. So fun album.
Yes. I'm so glad you guys liked it. This is one I feel like everyone knows, and you either love it or you love it. Some people don't like it. I feel like I was talking to one of my coworkers, Jamie, shout out Jamie, and she was like, because we were talking like early on. I remember this was like a couple years ago. Like she was asking me like, "Oh, what kind of music do you like?" I was like, "Oh, I have a couple of musics. I have a podcast. We like to listen to all different kinds of stuff." I was like, "Yeah, like Boz Scaggs." She's like, "Oh yeah, like Silk Degrees." I was like, "Yeah." So like, I
Nice.
feel like everyone kind of knows that they know the name, they know a couple songs. So it's definitely been around, and it still gets played. It still gets radio played. I think that's sick because it should, because it's good. Like it's not like, some other songs that you hear that like it's like, oh, this is like the 10th time and they're playing it in the last hour. Like this is actually like if you hear Lowdown come up, it's like, oh yeah, like I actually like this song. Thank you. Um,
We used to play Lowdown and Lido Shuffle at the credit union, dude. Like
Oh yeah,
that's
exactly.
like this is
yeah.
another album that like teleports me. I listen to this and I'm like just behind Teller Row in the middle of November again, just slinging cash with the fellas. Dude, just fucking
Yeah,
the dirty Lowdown. Would you like cash
exactly.
with that? Like
Yeah, yeah. Like I like we'll I have like a couple like long drive playlists if we go like on a road trip or to the coast or whatever. And like every now and then this like a song from here will come up. Either Lowdown or Lido Shuffle. Harbor Lights also that one's pretty
Mhm.
sweet. I was looking at like the like track listing and like people that help. A lot of people on this. A lot of different people and a lot of different instruments. Like you have the flute, you have a bunch of different Moogs. There's a Moog synth, there's an ARP synth, there's a mini Moog. Uh,
Damn.
like there's a lot of different things, a couple saxophones. It's got like this pop rock, it's got this funky jazziness, R&B. So it's got like kind of a little bit of everything. So it's a pretty fun album. I thought, now that we're getting higher up here on the episodes, we're almost at 100. I feel like I kind of got to get into my little bit more like obscure kind of silly things that I have laying around here and there. But this is still a solid album for what it is. I think it's great, and I was able to bring it up, and it's awesome that you guys also kind of like it too, because I feel like it's makes me feel so much more good about it. So
hell yeah, it's a fantastic album. Like I said, and to have something that is, it's almost like I don't know. Because Matt, you kind of did bring it up. It's like almost yacht rock adjacent, right? Like it kind of
A little bit.
predates, like
A
it
little
kind
bit.
of predates that, I
Yeah.
pre it's not yacht. That's why I kind of had that thought. I was like, it's not yacht rock, but it's like
It's not like
music.
sailing, it's not like
Yeah.
that. Sailing.
It's like music for people that like to have wine instead of beer. Like, but like still like to get down. Like they
Right.
still like to party, but they're gonna have a Chardonnay instead of a
They
rack of
they eat an
Coors.
edible. They don't smoke. They eat an edible. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes, I
yeah.
agree. I agree. There you go. See, this is for people that prefer a gummy over actually.
Yeah.
They like getting high, but they
They don't
don't
want
want to,
that full spectrum high. They don't want to get,
yeah. They're not going to buy a tie-dye, you know what I mean?
all
Like
right.
there's there's two different types of smokers. There's Cornell 77 smokers
You ever heard of
and then
supplication? Yeah.
Yeah.
you got your smokers, which is Cornell 77. You got your edible takers. That's Silk Degrees. I think we just cracked the code on it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, this album starts off so strong too, right? Like, what can I say? Like that song is just like an earworm right off the jump, and then it goes into Georgia, which like kind of picks up the pace a little bit, and it's like, you know, I love how much you can tell when Boz Scaggs is singing these songs, like especially Georgia, that he's like really getting after, like he's really singing his ass off. Like, you can really tell that he's pushing. Not to say that it sounds bad, but it's like, damn, he's like hitting those notes. He's really just attacking it. And I love that type of stuff.
Mhm.
It's Over. You guys kind of mentioned it. That one had a lot of like Hall and Oates type of feel to me. I was like, oh, he was like it was
Yeah.
almost Hall and Oates and Skaggs, maybe. Like in a
Mhm.
perfect world, maybe we get a collab. But no, I think it's funny when it's like I was saying about, the biggest songs off of here. Those songs are great both because they got huge radio play and were successful, but they're also very well done. Like the bass line on Lowdown is so just not, it's got such pocket, like it's just locked in, just
Mhm.
that doesn't ever break that beat. But then even outside of those two big songs, like that being said about both of them, every song on here is a masterpiece in and of itself. Uh, Love Me Tomorrow is great. That's the one that I kind of said was like almost Jimmy Buffett-esque, that don't little drum beat that it has.
Mhm.
It's so satisfying. There's a lot of stuff in here that's just like, oh man, when because it's not like terribly complex music either, but when music
Mhm.
that isn't super complex is done exceptionally well,
Mhm.
it's just a treat. You're like, oh man, it's super hard to fuck this up, and they crushed it. Like they just murdered it. So shout out Skaggs and the gang for that one.
Skaggs.
Yeah.
Great album.
Great
Oh
album.
yeah, fantastic. I just sent you guys a link, but Disclosure does a pretty cool like EDM like version of this song of Lowdown. He like samples a couple like vocals from Boz and a couple of the other like the bass line, the instrument. So it's definitely give it a
Mhm.
listen. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean it's a fun album. I feel like it's one of those where you can if either if you throw it on or if you listen to it out in the world, like it's kind of a cool um with the memories too. I feel like we have pretty good memories with it. So holds a special place in my heart. So, um, yeah, we can get into top threes if y'all ready for it.
Please hit
Do
me
it.
up.
Let's. So honorable mention for me, I'm going with Lido Shuffle. I think everyone's heard of it. It's
Yeah.
good. Number three, I'm going Harbor Lights. Number two, Love Me Tomorrow. It almost feels like it's like if they would have actually like smoked or taken gummies, like it would have been a reggae song because it already kind of has like a reggae feel to it with like the bass line. So Love Me Tomorrow, and then my favorite track, it's the most popular song of his for a reason, Low Down. I think that song is perfect. I think that song, from the guitar, from the bass line, from the flute, from the vocals, everything, it's solid. It's a solid track all around. So yeah, Low Down.
Hell yes. Great picks. Honorable mention for me is also Lido Shuffle. Just man, just it's got such singability.
Lido.
Lido, fucking just great song. Number three, it's over the Hall and Oates adjacent song. Number two for me was Lowdown. We gave it a lot of love. Go ahead and listen to this whole segment again, and you'll know why it's my number two. Number one for me, though, I mentioned it. Love Me Tomorrow. Love that song, man. The reggae feel to it was such a curveball in comparison to the rest of the album. But it wasn't like it didn't take me out of the experience, you know what I mean? And like I said, that little drum, that two drum hit after the first line of the chorus, like the musically, like how the song's written is very, very satisfying, because they could have overdone it or not done that enough. Like they again, they it's super hard to mess it up, but they still like the tasteful stuff that they do is very
Mhm.
nice. So, Love Me Tomorrow.
Nice. The honorable mention for me was Jump Street. Like that song, kind of a unique track on this album. Number three was Harbor Lights. Number two, We're All Alone. And then Lowdown was my favorite track. It's like the
Right
iconic
on.
Boz Scaggs. Like everybody knows that song, and if you don't like it, then you don't like music, and you should just go crawl into a cave and do your thing.
You're blocked from Spotify for 3 months if you
Yeah.
don't like that song.
Yeah.
Um, hell yes, dude. Boz Scaggs, Silk Degrees, 1976. Jake's pick for this wonderful episode 97 of What You Spinnin'. Hell of an album. Incredible work. And like I said, I was very pleased that that was what we ended up ending on. I think it's a good segue into what we're going to be bringing up in about 2 weeks' time. So go ahead and stick around because that's coming next. It's What You Spinnin', episode 97. See you in a bit. All right. It's time for arguably everybody's favorite part of What You Spinnin', the part where we tell you what's coming next. The suspense has been building all episode, and we go in the order that we talked in, which means I'm going first. But before I do that, go ahead and listen to all of the albums that we just talked about. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Some great, great stuff, whether it's The Grateful Dead or Boz Scaggs or David Bowie. I think this is a really good episode as far as like just like solid picks, get to talk about a lot of good stuff. But anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna pick an album kind of in the same vein of what I just picked, but not really. It's an album from 2002. It's called Uninvisible. I think it's the seventh album by the group Medeski, Martin and Wood. Some jazz fusion. I don't own it because it's like $200 for a copy. But some good like instrumental jazz fusion that isn't Herbie Hancock. So excited to bring that up.
Nice.
Damn, that's a good album. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the year of 1981, and we haven't talked about this band before at all, but I like this album, and it's their second album. It's called October by the band U2.
Hell yes. I was just thinking the other day, I was like, I'm surprised you or myself has not brought up a U2 album yet.
And there you go.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Nice. I like it. I like where this is going. I will pick something a little newer. Let me get the date right here just so I don't look like a fool. 2020. It's been a while since we brought up anybody from this collective, but going to my roots to hip hop. I'm going 2020 Conway the Machine, from king to a god.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Uh, that's awesome. Good stuff. Griselda. We love a good
Griselda.
we love a good Griselda, whether it's Conway the Machine, Benny, or Westside, any of those guys are cool with me. Man, we've done it once again. We're getting a bunch of cool shit going in one episode. We've got Conway the Machine, From King to a God, U2's October. I haven't heard that album in probably a decade plus, so I'm really excited to listen to that. And then Uninvisible by Medeski, Martin, and Wood. That's going to be a hell of an episode, fellas. Great stuff. This episode 97 has also been a hell of an episode. We thank you for sticking with us through this episode and through all of the other ones leading up to it. We just talked off screen about some fun plans for episode 100. So we're excited to bring you that stuff. In the meantime, tell a friend. We're on every podcast platform that you or your friend could even be on. So share it. We've probably covered an album that they like. So you could be like, hey, did you like Mad Villainy? Listen to the first episode of this podcast, you know? It's awesome. That's why we do it. So that way there's no continuity. You don't have to listen to us in order. But it is pretty cool to do. But yeah, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Whatchu Spinnin. Follow me on Instagram at Dorian Dilly, constantly posting music stuff, sharing music that I'm listening to, which includes a lot of shit that these two guys have introduced me to. I just love sharing music. I think it's a very fun thing, if people are like, "Oh, how'd you hear that?" Some random guy on Instagram or whatever. Anyway, support your local record store, support your local artist, band, restaurant. Listen to something new. If you listen to a song and you think of somebody that might like it, send it to them. It's a good conversation starter, and I wish more people would do that. So anyway, I'm Dorian. That's Matt. That's Jake. We are What You Spinnin'. This has been What You Spinnin' episode 97. Come back in 2 weeks to listen to U2, Conway the Machine, and Medeski Martin and Wood with us. We love you. Peace.